Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Fandom Post Radio Podcast. I am your engineer, Kate, and joining me this week is Brandon.
Yo.
Kestrel.
Hi.
Mark.
Hello.
And Kane.
Hello, hello.
And we are here to talk about anime, specifically the fall 2025 season, which is currently airing. Which is proving to be a slower season than the previous because this year in particular has been a plethora of goods and possibly services. So before we dive into that, we should hit up any news that has happened since the last episode.
Yeah. So, first piece of news I got here is just a little announcement from Crunchyroll that they have licensed the next season of Oshinoko. This is only significant because Oshinoko is Sentai's biggest series, and Crunchyroll just snapped it away from them.
Wow.
Jesus Christ.
That's crazy.
How much more is left of that?
Like, how many more seasons are there going to be? That's a good question. I'm not sure.
Might poking high dive with a stick. Fight back.
Yeah, I mean, the post-ADV companies have kind of always been dead on arrival. But now it's just like, oh, Sony realized they missed a big show. They can just outbid them and just take the future seasons of it and leave them with nothing. Especially since I think it's Kadokawa, and Sony now has a major stake in Kadokawa.
Yeah.
Gave him the "there will be blood" treatment. Drinking the milkshake.
So yeah, sucks to be Sentai.
Oh.
Then we're gonna, speaking of Sony dominating the world, let's check up on our Demon Slayer stats at the box office. So last time, of course, it had broken most of the records, including in the US the 26-year record of highest grossing anime film and opening from Pokemon the first movie. Now it broke another almost the same length 25-year record of the highest grossing international film, which was Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon from 2000. So eat that out in US gross. So now the highest grossing international film in the US. Worldwide, it's sitting at 666 million, appropriately enough. And yes, in terms of it, actually in Japan, still has not beaten Mugen Train. It's still in theaters. It's still very gradually working its way up, but that is kind of the one record it hasn't beaten is its gross in Japan itself. I mentioned last time that it was very close. It had already beaten all of the superhero movies from 2025 worldwide, and it was very close to beating F1 and How to Train Your Dragon, which it has beaten both of now. So it's now the 5th highest grossing film of 2025 worldwide. And then just looking at R-rated movies, of course, it had immediately beaten Mugen Train as the number 1 highest grossing R-rated animated film of all time. It's also the just 9th highest grossing R-rated film of all time, period. And not far from a couple ones right above it. So could keep climbing up that. It is the only... Okay, so we're going to get into Chainsaw Man in a minute for its US box office, but I will say that Chainsaw Man is already the 4th highest grossing R-rated animated film of all time. If you take that out, this is for Kane specifically, the 8th, previously the 7th highest grossing R-rated animated film of all time was Demon Slayer Season 2, Episode 17 plus 18 plus Season 3, Episode 1.
One of my favorite movies of all time.
Uh-huh. And 2 spots below that, in number 10, formerly number 9, is Demon Slayer Season 3, Episode 10, plus Episode 11, plus Season 4, Episode 1. Another one of the classics.
So stupid. I was gonna ask, like, because I don't have the knowledge of this off the top of my head, but like, R-rated animated film box office, is there really stiff competition for that outside of things like Demon Slayer? So it's obviously not that impressive. Like, whoa, cool, you beat out South Park from 1999.
Fritz the Cat.
Or Fritz the Cat from the 80s.
Very specifically, those 2 entries are directly below South Park from 1999 and Fritz the Cat.
Exactly.
The only non-anime film to meet those criteria that's grossed over 100 million is Sausage Party. Other than that, it's Demon Slayer, Chainsaw Man, Ava, and then Demon Slayer TV episodes.
Yeah, so while there are some very impressive numbers there, I don't put a lot of stock into that one in particular.
Right. Yeah. The higher, so those guys are sitting at 60 million and 50 million respectively. Now, granted, if you can gross over $100 million at the box office and put in literally 0 effort, then why not? But that 60 million is compared to the 600 million of the real Demon Slayer movie. So, yeah, slightly.
Yeah, they really passed go on that one for the episodes. Just didn't do nothing but go around the board and collect money.
100%. Yeah, I just think it's funny that they're still in the top 10 of that chart of all time.
That return on investment, man.
Yeah,
companies dream of that shit.
And even if you take out those 2 and just consider the Demon Slayer film series to be the 2 actual films, it is still the only R-rated animated series to have ever grossed over $1 billion. And it's also, even with only those 2 films included, the 11th highest grossing R-rated film series of all time, and the only one other than Deadpool where each film has grossed over $500 million. So, yeah, second highest average for a film series. So, yeah, that's where we're at with those numbers.
By the time those films finish, they're going to have a higher GDP than the United States.
I mean, absolutely true, but, you know.
Yeah.
Good thing they won't be allowed in this country anymore.
That'll show them.
Yep. All right. Before we step into the Chainsaw Man numbers, just going chronologically, there was an announcement on the 2-year anniversary of the Apothecary Diaries anime.
Hell yeah.
We knew from the end of the previous season that we would be getting more anime, but this time, unlike the previous time, it didn't specify like new season, anything like that. So now we have all the details. We are getting season 3. It's going to be split core, first half fall 2026, second half April 2027.
Oh, so far away.
Yeah, I mean, we were very lucky the last time with such a short break. But let them cook. And then in between those 2, at the end of 2026 in December, we are getting a new original film written by the original author of the series.
So, series and a movie. We can have it all.
Yes, we can. Very exciting.
Very exciting. Mass supremacy.
And Chainsaw Man. So this movie, Reze Arc, has been out in Japan for a little bit. It got its, I don't know if that it was a US premiere, maybe just West Coast premiere at Animation is Film, which I got to see. And then that was only a few days before the theatrical release in the US. So that was just this past weekend. So technically, Chainsaw Man is the #1 movie in America right now, because it goes based on the previous box office weekend. And it was $17-18 million opening in the US. Like I said, it's already at number 4 for highest grossing R-rated animated films. Oh yeah, I guess I should say for Demon Slayer, the current U.S. box office gross of that 666 is 132 million. So Chainsaw Man is currently sitting at almost 20 million in the U.S. and over 110 million worldwide. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it for its impressive box office numbers at this moment. So definitely not in the same stratosphere whatsoever, but we did have 2 consecutive months with anime movies topping the US box office, so it's pretty good.
Yeah, do we know what its production budget was? Or anything like that? Like, to know when it starts making profit? I mean, I'm assuming it has already, but...
yeah, I'm sure it already had in Japan.
I thought it was somewhere around 5 million, but it's definitely in the green now.
Yeah, I mean, if it's 5 million, then it's doing very, very well from that. Yeah. It's like 4 million.
Yeah, so it was
over 110 million.
Yeah.
So yeah. And it's beautiful.
Yeah, because at that point it'd have to probably it started making profit at probably like 9-ish million, 8 million or so, depending on how much they spent marketing on it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like
this movie is it's like an actual story arc or like a summation. Okay.
It is the Demon Slayer model. It's the next arc in the story.
Cool. I'm a fan of that.
Yes.
Yeah. Without an episode tied into it kind of thing. It's just a standalone arc within the story.
So like Mugen Train.
Right.
Yeah. Even though it's not going as bonkers as Demon Slayer, I feel like I just wonder for the future direction of not only Chainsaw Man, but like a bunch of other series in that ballpark. Like, is everyone just going to start making movies and just kind of forego the TV format altogether? It just kind of seems like the way to make money off this stuff now. So I'm really curious, like, if they're going to go back to a third season for the show or just kind of do the movies. I'm very curious to see what they do.
Yeah, it's interesting because like you had Demon Slayer where it broke every impossible record during a pandemic, and then spent another 5 years putting out TV seasons anyway. Granted, it figured out how to have its cake and eat it too, and make $110 million from just throwing episodes on a screen. But yeah, based on that, I don't know. You'd think that ever since Mugen Train, everyone would have just gone to the theater for everything, but maybe it's the back and forth that really, I don't know, gets the crowd.
I mean, movie industry as a whole has not been doing hot, so... Except anime and horror movies, because horror movies will just go forever because apparently they don't have to worry about anything else.
They also cost $15 to make.
Yeah, they cost nothing to make, and they make, and there's always an audience for that. So
yeah.
Well, especially when the world is on fire, people really like horror movies because it's fun to imagine a time when the world can be on fire, but you might be able to do something about it.
Right. It's less horrific than reality.
Yeah. If anything, I would like to see more shows take sort of this hybrid thing and maybe just have the movies be the arcs that have maybe the most high production action in them, perchance, so they could really kind of highlight that. But the cynical side of me is like, we're going to get more just episodes on a screen with the intros and outros removed. Yeah, and then we'll get those because those are high ROI for low effort.
For the first of those Demon Slayer quote movies, I don't even think they removed the opening and ending in between.
They did not, no.
Also, I mean, Chainsaw Man Reze had like an OP type of thing too, so I think they're still going to do their musical numbers,
For sure. You still get to sell those singles and get lots of money there. And same thing with Demon Slayer. Infinity Castle has an opening song and an ending song, and they sell lots of singles. So
yeah. I think the one thing that it gets kind of convoluted about it that I noticed from people that are not huge anime fans, but like will check out, the Demon Slayers and the Chainsaw Mans. I feel like for more casual fans, it'll start getting a little confusing
Yes.
when it bounces between formats. Because
Definitely.
I had several people ask me like, so wait, is this Chainsaw Movie Man like its own thing, or is it
Right.
the story continuing? I'm like, yeah, you just gotta have to lay it out a bit, because I feel like the average fan might not really understand why the format changes like that.
Yeah. There's a bunch of things there. One of them, apparently, if enough people are talking about a movie in theaters, people will just go to see it regardless of any prerequisites. So I've had a bunch of people just be like, so like, do I need to see any Demon Slayer stuff before this? And to be fair, Demon Slayer is a pretty straightforward story, so kind of no, even though it's like the conclusion of a 60, 70 episode series.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think a lot of people are just going to see it anyway, and they do that with Marvel movies too, even though Marvel movies are incredibly impenetrable now. Like the box office of Deadpool and Wolverine, even though you need to have the Wikipedia article of the production history of every Marvel movie by any company ever made, and the ones not made, memorized for that movie to make any sense. But it still grossed, more money than any other R-rated movie of all time.
That's true. Some people just want an excuse to like go see the big thing.
Yeah, exactly. Be part of the conversation. And, for Demon Slayer especially, you get a bunch of flashy action and not much else, so it works out pretty well. And yeah, so for the next level of consumer who actually cares at all about what they're watching, then you have the issue of, okay, cool, I can go on Crunchyroll and catch up. But for that case, even though Mugen Train TV version is an obvious cash grab, it's also really helpful for those fans, because if you're just looking at the series, they're going to list season 1, season 2, season 3, and you have to know that, in between season 1 and 2, I got to go watch this movie, and then I can come back to the TV series, which is not intuitive, and you shouldn't expect anyone to know that.
Okay, that literally happened to me yesterday, because literally a buddy of mine started watching Demon Slayer because of the recent hype, and he's like, I tried getting into it last year and it didn't work. I'm going to try again. And he was like, what should I know about the watch order? And I was getting confused trying to remember, like, wait, is it 2 seasons, then the movie, then another season, or in the 2 seasons and then another movie? Like, I was confusing myself just trying to remember the order.
Especially since, depending on who you ask, Mugen Train TV and Entertainment District are either both season 2 or seasons 2 and 3, respectively. So yeah, no, it's unclear, but it's actually helpful that there is a TV version of Mugen Train, so that someone can just run through the whole TV series. Whereas in the case of like Made in Abyss, or especially like the Rascal Does Not Dream series, you just got to bounce back and forth between formats, and you just got to know where to slot in the movies, because there is nothing helping you with that. And that could be the case with Chainsaw Man as well.
Yeah.
And then in terms of what I prefer as a nerd who's going to know all of the little details of how to watch everything, on one hand, being in theaters is an awesome experience, and especially for like Chainsaw Man, for Demon Slayer, I would say that the quality of the TV series is already at the point that you're not really getting anything extra in a movie, except it's going to be a lot bigger. With Chainsaw Man, granted, there's a different director, and it's been a few years, some different staff, different, stuff like that.
Art direction's a little different.
Yeah. But I think the production quality is much higher in the movie than the TV series overall. Like there were notable moments in the TV series where the art was slipping, the animation was slipping, there was some kind of wonky CG. The film is like, this is what I expect the film upgrade to be from a TV series. So I like it for that reason. However, as someone who does not live in Japan, they still have not figured out how to make these simultaneous releases. And that means that we're stuck waiting. It's gotten better. It's, weeks to months at this point. But if it's on TV in Japan, it's going to be on Crunchyroll an hour later. And it sucks to be a month or two behind when the movies come out and they're the biggest shit in Japan. And you just got to sit on your hands and wait. So,
yeah.
We'll see. Okay. My last pieces of news are from this morning, some One Piece news. First piece there is a little update for the main anime. Still no update on the One Piece. But the main anime took its first break end of last year, beginning of this year for 6 months. Came back, stronger than ever. Good to see. And Toei has announced that is now officially going to be happening every year from now on. So they said that it will go on a 3-month break starting in January. It will return in April with the start of the next arc. And starting in 2026, the new production schedule will be it'll be divided into 2 parts, maximum 26 episodes per year. And they said they're incorporating more content, tempo, and pacing of the original manga, which, sure, you definitely get better pacing when you don't have to make an episode every week. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I see this as only a good thing. So, yeah, it's crazy it did take this long, but,
Yes. Yeah, it took exactly 25 years to the day for it to take its first break.
Holy shit.
And then, now it realized that is a good idea.
And like, wow, that felt pretty good.
I slept. I haven't done that since the 90s.
But the stories were true.
One Piece is definitely like the last holdout of the old shonen adaptation model, just by virtue of it never having ended, where the rest of them all did. Because for the past decade, basically, you had kind of My Hero Academia was the first one that established, like, okay, we're going to be a normal Shonen Jump anime adaptation, but it's going to be seasons. And then, obviously the success of Demon Slayer and being able to have that level of quality, pretty much everything in the 2020s for new Shonen Jump anime adaptations has followed the seasonal format. So, yeah, it kind of makes sense that it's not exactly seasons, but realize that, yes, taking breaks is okay. The time slot will be here when we get back. We can produce much better quality. Fans are expecting that. It's good for everyone.
It's still astounding it took them this long to finally make the switch.
Old habits die hard.
True.
And then we'll see in those breaks. Maybe we'll get the One Piece. It's Netflix, so they'll probably drop it in binge format. But maybe when we're in a 3 to 6 month break, we'll get a season.
True. And the live action will most definitely still be coming out for years to come.
Speaking of that, the other piece of news from this morning was the live action season 2 release date, which is March 10th, 2026.
Yay, I'd missed that news.
Yep.
Everybody had assumed it was spring, so that lines up.
Right. And they already said it was next year, so no big announcement, but yeah. That's all I got.
Yay.
Nice. Alrighty. Well, I think it's time we shift into the season here and we talk a little bit about what's currently on the air. So, I know the kind of one of the big stories out of the season is just how bad one particular anime is. I think to not many people's surprise, given its trajectory and its rather downward spiral. And we'll get to that a little bit because one of our co-hosts here is putting themselves through the gauntlet of sorts. But I think it's best if we started off with something that's a little bit of a higher quality, maybe get this shit sandwich tasting a little better. So we'll start with everybody's favorite superhero anime and the final season of My Hero Academia. Is this actually the final season?
I mean,
Is it gonna be done?
probably.
I think
The manga
so.
has been over for a while, so, and it's only got, like, what, 1 or 2 cores of content left, so
Yeah.
I hope so.
I think at most they could squeeze it to make like a movie at the end, but I think it can just be finished in the season's format.
It's true, it's not a lie if you say final season and then have a movie.
Yeah. But yeah, it's also pretty awesome because I mean, is this the first season since like season 2 or 3 since they weren't already making a side by side like non-canon movie with the TV show?
Let's see. Your Next was last year, so season 6 didn't have one, I don't think. Season 6 was
Okay.
good.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I feel like there was definitely a point for me around the middle, like 4 and 5, where
Mhm.
you can tell they were really grasping at straws, like sending everybody which way to do both a movie and a show simultaneously. But I mean, you can really tell already that this final season is just kicking on all cylinders. And I mean, they've already shown some of like outside of the movies. I think the 3rd episode showed some of like the craziest animation this show's ever had.
Which, very high bar for the series, but yeah, I think that episode in particular, it's like, I feel like every episode of this season is the best episode we've ever gotten of the series, but I think episode 3 in particular is probably the peak of what we've seen so far.
Yeah. I feel like there is it's kind of hard to look back and kind of remember the reception of the ending of My Hero, but I feel like generally it wasn't as dogpiled on as some other ones. So I'm generally looking forward to how it ends because I think this like final arc and big fight was generally paced pretty well. So yeah, I mean, so far it's been amazing. So
Yeah.
which I feel like I haven't. I guess yeah, last season was pretty good too, but like this really feels like I'm like fully back on the My Hero train.
Yeah, I think like my initial honeymoon phase with My Hero was, like you said, seasons 2 and 3. And season 4 was like, all right, this is fine. Season 5, I almost dropped it for good.
Yeah.
Season 6, definitely way back up there, way better. Very good to see. Season 7 was fine, but yeah, every single episode of this, especially episode 3, but just week after week, I've just been blown away. This is how I felt in 2017, 2018 with those seasons, and now, I've gotten very disillusioned by it and seen, at the time it was a very impressive jump anime, right? We didn't have a lot with that level of animation week to week. Now that's kind of become the standard, is make really lavish adaptations of popular jump series. But yeah, the animation, the direction, the emotional investment, the intensity, just everything about it has, like you said, been firing on all cylinders from the very beginning of the season.
Yeah. And I think the anime also helps a little bit with the because I feel like one of the hard things to juggle with a series like this is the insanely huge amount of cast that they have to like try to cover. And I think there were parts during the final arc when the manga was still going where, I mean, the week to week reaction could like bounce from one end to the other because we'd be like covering the All Might All for One fight and it's getting like so hype and so crazy. And then they'll like, oh, here's a quick chapter on Spinner versus like Octo Guy or whatever. Or like they'll do like a one-off chapter to highlight one of the other students having a conflict. And I feel like that kind of was a whiplash for a lot of fans that didn't land always, but the way the anime is able to like pace those chapters within the context of the greater fight has like made it a lot easier to take it in as a whole rather than like as a chapter by chapter or episode by episode basis.
Yeah, so. I never read any of the manga actually, but I think that definitely makes sense in terms of both, the fact that as long as you don't have to adapt a manga series every week for 25 years, you can easily fit 2-3+ chapters in an episode. So that gives you more variety right there. You're going to get some of whatever you care about. And with retrospect, when it's not a mangaka who needs to pump out 20 pages every week, you can have the retrospect of like, okay, how did this work in the pacing of the original, and how can we kind of chop it up and frame it a little bit better in this format, which of course, Bleach has been doing exceptionally. So, and I think, obviously one of the advantages of One Piece going to something closer to this format is that it will finally get to do some of that, because for the past several decades, it's needed to adapt a chapter or less a week, because you need to pump out 4 episodes a month and you're getting 3 chapters a month. So you're going to catch up real fast, and there's no space for filler. So you got to get that pace in real slow, even though they've been doing a very good job for what they're working with. So yeah, I'm excited to see that for that series as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I think this season of My Hero in particular is one of the things I thought about when I saw that One Piece news. Was like, oh, awesome! Like it'll feel like properly paced, as opposed to like, yeah, let's stretch this one page for about 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
So do either of you read the manga? I'm sorry if you mentioned it earlier, or I've read it.
For My Hero?
Yeah.
Yeah, I read it when it was being released.
Okay, so my question is, would the low quality of those seasons in the middle have been almost unavoidable? Like, does the manga have the same arc? Because then I'd be curious as to what could have been done other than just trying to like lavishly animate mediocre content, like from the actual story itself, or was it just a poor adaptation? Because it's an interesting arc that there's like the first season or two were really good, and then it kind of dipped, and then it got good, and then it really dipped, and now it's good. And it makes me wonder if that's as much of just the story itself. And when you're, not saying that this is true, but garbage in, garbage out. Yeah. So,
personally, I think it more so lands on like the anime production's decisions rather than the manga's like arcs itself quality, because one of my favorite arcs of the manga was one of my least favorite arcs in the anime, which was like the My Villain Academia backstory part. I remember when I read it when it was coming out, it was some of my favorite stuff, and just as I briefly mentioned before, they were making films coinciding with the airing seasons, which I think kind of like stretched them thin a bit. And then it felt like almost that One Piece pacing where some episodes were drawn out, or like, they'd have to start the season on like almost like a recap episode where like, here's all 30 students and here's what each of their powers do, because clearly you probably forgotten the last 3 months. And it just like was more of a slog to get through than I remember reading it. So yeah, I think it's more so up to the quality of the production than the story itself, because I personally think the manga was like pretty like high octane, high quality all the way through. So yeah, I'm happy that it's gotten back to a point where it is like matching the intensity and the hype and the scope of what it was supposed to be.
And I mean, speaking to the movies, those seasons would even inject episodes that would be like, hey, I know this isn't part of the story or anything, but we've got a movie out in theaters, so let's have a little tie-in episode just to advertise it.
I forgot about those like
Oh
completely.
yeah, that would be jarring to say the least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
It's
think
crazy
again,
because they've canonized some characters from the movies as well. Because there's like the American girl that's like somehow
she's
knows
been in
All
this
Might.
season.
Yeah. It's very interesting.
And like I think in season 5 in particular, which was the My Villain Academia and a few other arcs, I wasn't reading the manga, but from what I heard, I think they also rearranged some of the events in a way that did not work out as well. And I think the reasoning, right, because they put the Deku, Bakugo, Todoroki training earlier so that they could capitalize on that for the movie or something.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. And then it was kind of like a whole block of the first half of the season being the training and like the other students doing like the whatever it was
The
I
internship,
totally forgot
and it was
about that.
like, it seemed like kind of redundant arcs back to back. The class whatever versus class whatever arc, I don't remember what the classes there. Did that drag as much in the manga?
No, that was another one where I feel like they went to like One Piece style pacing of like this. Each of these classroom battles lasted maybe a chapter, and they dragged each fight to like a full episode. Which, to be fair, there were some like highlight animation Sakuga during those, but yeah, it just felt like, man, there's so much like going on with the plot on the other side, and we are just like stuck here in training mode still.
Like, just training after training, and with the reordering, even more training. And just like starting off the season with 12, 13 episodes of just, hey, remember the 30 characters you care about? What if we added 30 characters you don't care about?
Yeah. And just to provide more examples of the anime's differences, going back another season to the, what was his name, Overhaul and Eri arc. I think one of the biggest disappointments for me was Mirio showing up at the end, and he got like a bunch of like almost like slideshow vignettes for like him fighting Overhaul to buy time, and that was like, to me, the highlight of that final fight in the manga was just kind of they just kind of sidestepped it and like dragged out different parts so that Deku's moment at the very, very end could be like insane. But yeah, just like they made some decisions like that weren't great. And also just like Horikoshi's art is sometimes fucking insane. Like he's maybe one of the most talented artists in Jump, like of the 21st century. Like he creates some really crazy stuff, and I think in the villain arcs specifically, a lot of the art couldn't hold up for the manga equivalent.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, yeah, it's lucky to say that Bones have picked up the slack and are killing it with this final season. So,
oh yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that's another show that I'm like, maybe I should go back to someday, but then it also sounds like there'd be unavoidable slogging. Yeah. So maybe I'll just read the manga.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, very long in general at this point, but it'll have an ending, so that'll be cool. Within your lifetime.
It will actually end.
Yeah.
Again, like One Piece, I think it's one of those series where, again, I haven't read the manga in this case, so I can't really say this, but there might be some stretches where you're like, okay, go read the manga, but then come back to the anime for this, because it does the thing that an anime adaptation is supposed to do and elevates the content with what its medium is capable of, which is what this season is definitely doing.
Yeah, they're like, oh, there's going to be a crazy fight. Let's get our boy Nakamura in here again.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically give yourself a mixed media experience.
Right. If you can deal with that, which I know a lot of people can't.
I've done it before. I did that for Demon Slayer because I didn't want to wait, fucking a decade for these movies to come out.
Fair.
Man, everything I like about Demon Slayer is an anime thing.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I think that's most people's consensus.
Yeah, after reading it, it's fine, but yeah, the anime does a lot of the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to see the ending because I was like, by the time these movies come out, there's a chance I just won't care anymore because of how long it's been.
Might have passed away of old age.
Yeah, that's true too. That's true too. Or the movies are not allowed in the country anymore. So I couldn't even see them anyway.
True.
Absolutely.
Alrighty. So it sounds like with that, we can shift over to our next show. And I think this is one that Kate was excited to talk about a little bit here. So we're going to discuss a little bit about To Your Eternity with its new season airing currently. So, Kestrel, I see you got it at a B+. Kate, how are you feeling?
It feels I only read the manga up to a certain point, which was like a season and a half ago. So, but the beginning of the season felt rushed, but not in a bad way. Like it just felt like, oh, this is going at a very fast pace. So I'm not sure what the corresponding. Obviously, they're trying to finish the series, so. I'm guessing they're just full steam ahead.
Yeah. We should mention it's not in the title of this one, but this is also the final season.
Yes.
I only watched the first season of it, but just based on what you're saying about it feeling rushed, I feel like this series in general just probably would be kind of difficult to adapt, just with the way the time works in it.
I mean, that hasn't really been an issue in previous chapters or anything. It's just that the situation that the cast returns to in this episode is dramatic and drastic, and there's like no time for like the supporting cast to reflect and breathe while this stuff is going on.
No, when I was watching that first episode, I was like, what the fuck is this show? It's like it's a completely different show from season to season, especially this time, especially in the first episode. It's just, so quick to change everything.
The first episode was so maddeningly fast-paced. It was hilarious. Like, I'm like, okay, this crisis that Fushi is going through where he decides to turn himself into a pufferfish probably had more impact in the manga because he was going through it, but it's played as like a gag here that is quickly resolved.
It's in like modern-ish times now.
Yeah, it's very obviously modern Japan, except not Japan because the history is different, and the countries and languages and stuff are different.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's kind of hard to talk about this without spoiling everything that came before. Yeah, when this show started, it was this is very much a tragedy, and at this point, it's like. Fushi has discovered a way that he does not have to be sad for his friends. So that is like the going force, but it's like because of that, because it's kind of weird because it's like okay, you got what you wanted, the world seems to be at peace and your friends are back and now you can just party and chill and do whatever. And so obviously it's like, well, we can't really follow what's going on here because these people are just like life is good. Now what? We got to go to this secondary cast who has all sorts of red flags being thrown left, right, and center on it. So yeah, and then I realized in the last episode I watched that one character appears to be the reincarnation of a character from way back in the series, and that opened a whole can of worms I had not expected in my brain. So. Which I don't know if Kestrel's picked up on. About who Hannah apparently Hannah, the lesbian.
Oh, I guess not.
No. She like what tipped me off was she shared the voice actress in Japanese with the previous character, and I was all like, "Oh, this character did not end up in the Fushi Brigade because this character supposedly like died long, without coming back."
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's also like I don't know how long's it been since the previous season. It's been a minute. Because I don't really. There are some things I forgot, and it's helpful that it's such a kind of fresh start this time. But yeah, definitely some particular plot threads that when they go back and reference them, I'm like, oh yeah, I vaguely remember that from like 2021 or whatever.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I kind of remember what this dude's deal was and why he doesn't have teeth. Right. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting characters with interesting quirks. I'm kind of disappointed that Fushi keeps resurrecting Gugu without like a face. Apparently, what the fuck is up with that? I'm like, dude, give him his face back, man.
Like what you were talking about, it was an issue of mine with the previous season about how they kind of, killed the weight of death, and especially given how important it's been throughout the series up until that point. And yeah, it's also still, at this point in this season, even though some bad shit is going on, nothing feels like it has the stakes of the previous season yet. I'm sure that will change. But yeah, it's mostly just kind of Fushi drinking boba, having a good time, and fixing problems.
Yeah, he discovered bubble tea, and that's like all he does. Now he's just walking around permanently with a bubble tea, which is weird because he just generates a bubble tea for himself to drink out of himself. Because that's a capability that he has. Like, it's just make matter, repurpose matter.
Anything he's touched, he can make. So yeah.
Yep.
That's funny because I knew it was in the modern times because I was like beforehand just looking up stuff for thumbnails as preparation, and I saw a picture of Fushi drinking boba. I was like, okay.
That's every frame of this season so far.
Yeah, he's just walking around saying cryptic shit and drinking boba and freaking out because his friends are back. He's like, gang! I love that the best fallout we got from him resurrecting everybody and just unceremoniously dropping them where their previous countries 600 years before was them like freaking out, and then when they finally find him, they just like several of them just beat the shit out of Fushi because they're like, you dumb fuck, what the fuck did you do that for? That was Carthetic, so it's like
so everything
learned something by now.
Everything is just kind of working out too smoothly. Like, no one is trying to hide the fact that there are these incredible supernatural creatures, and after the first few seconds, no one really cares in the modern world. And there have been no repercussions like there was going to be for 5 minutes, but then, they've got Bone, and he still has these massive connections after hundreds of years, so he can just bail them out of anything.
Yeah, he was intelligent enough to make a cult that would last the centuries. So they wouldn't have to deal with this shit when it ever came around.
It's just a modern Secret Service based on that's still completely functional.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. And then there's just I don't know. There's so much weird stuff, and it's so stockpiled into these first few episodes, and then in episode 3 comes around, and the ending of that was just like a fucking gut punch. I'm like, oh yeah, we're back.
Right.
I was like, here we go.
And I guess that they are good stakes in general to have. It's just that after season 2, it seems it's a different kind of stakes. It's more intimate, more personal, which I guess is maybe better because I didn't love season 2 that much. So I'm interested to see where it goes. But it does seem like the solutions have become so grand because the problems were so grand. So now with less grand problems, it seems like it's going to be difficult to get invested in, oh no, how are they going to get out of this one?
Well, that was always Fushi's weakness was how to deal with people in a natural way and
That's
people
true,
problems. Yeah. So, it's like very clearly he still has that issue considering he thought there was no problem with dropping people straight into the present. Poor March waking up in a fucking museum of her dead culture and just mannequins and shit. I felt so bad for her. I was like, that was cruel.
Yeah.
Luckily,
I do miss it being a tragedy, though. So
yeah, well, I mean,
the tragedy that we've gotten so far has been effective. It definitely turned the season around for me. I was like, okay, I care about stuff again.
Yeah, it was interesting to see. Yeah, and then once I was like, wait a minute, why is this character? Then I started looking up things, and I'm like, oh, what? Oh, that's weird. Yeah, and there's clearly a character who is, well, now we know she's related to the people that were stalking Fushi for centuries.
Right. Which was pretty clear from the beginning.
Yeah, it was clear from the beginning she looks exactly like the rest of the people.
Same design.
Same design. But it's like, but she didn't know that. She was not brought up in the cult.
Right.
So the one thing asshole mom did do correctly was keep her daughter away from that bullshit. Yeah, there's a lot of sticky personal stuff going on in a very strange story that it continues to be very strange. I especially like the fact that everybody in the future is just like, yeah, there are these roots everywhere. We just deal with them.
Yeah.
Like, that must have made driving suck. Those roots were everywhere.
It is interesting, like, okay, it's essentially modern Japan, except not, and there are these little differences, like all of these roots are just everywhere and constantly grow back immediately. But you'd think that modern science would have gotten a little bit closer to, like, the origin of them.
Well, then you have to wonder, it's like, how much of that was tied up in religion or whatever.
Yeah.
Which nobody seems to believe in anymore, which was very much felt like a very modern Japan situation where it's like, yeah, we have all these kami, but nobody actually believes this shit. But it's cool. So we still go to shrines and like pray and shit, but nobody actually believes this shit. And it felt very much like that continued. But they were just like, yeah, there was a god person thing, but could be myth. Ignore these roots everywhere.
Shows up in the middle of Tokyo and everyone's like, oh, okay, that's neat.
They're like, oh, you're cool. Yeah, the world's most jaded population of human beings ever. Anyway, To Your Eternity is back, and it's weird as ever.
So weird.
So weird. What a weird show.
Yeah.
Alrighty, all good?
All good.
All good. It was nice to hear Kate talk about something, for once, considering how infrequently that happens. So I wanted to keep letting you cook.
I still miss Brewery Rocks. I wish there was more Brewery Rocks to watch.
Is that done, or just that season's done, and it might just be like that's all you get ever?
I think that might be it's all we get ever. But
okay.
Doesn't feel like the sort of show that would get a second season, but it should.
It should.
You guys could write a sternly worded email.
Start an internet petition.
I'll settle for somebody licensing the manga. I gotta send that into 7 seasons. Say, hey, pick this up.
Okay, so I think the next show we're going to talk about is, in fact, a prime candidate for the mixed media experience we were discussing a little bit earlier. And so I'm going to pass it on over to Bran to give us the lowdown on exactly how disastrous this One Punch Man season is.
Yeah. Well,
we've seen the memes, but is there truth behind them?
Well, I'm here to report that the allegations are true. It is one frame man through and through. I've walked through the valley of the shadow of death and I return much worse man than I was when I left.
Are you sure you didn't slide through the valley?
Oh.
Heyo. Before I talk about the show itself, I feel like I have to preface it by saying, what were people expecting? Because I feel like I saw the writing on the wall for a long time. I mean, the moment they announced that it was going to be JC Staff again, it was over. And because season 2 was already pretty abysmal. And to be fair, the Madhouse season 1 was like lightning in a bottle moment that like ruined the chances of anything after it being any good. But the fact that before the anime even aired, there was the JC Staff announcement, and then crickets for I think over a year.
Mhm.
And then we get maybe 2 PV trailers within like a month or so before the show is starting. And that's all. Like there's very little to show for it right before the show's coming out. And I don't know how people had any kind of expectations, but it's here. And yeah, everyone is very, very, very sad about it. I will say, let me get one positive out of the way. One thing they did fix is some of the compositing and color design on certain things look better. Specifically in season 2, they did this weird thing where his I forget his name already. I like totally like I was watching this and my brain started melting. But
Didn't you just binge this a
I
few hours
just
ago?
binged it this afternoon.
Your
Because
brain's
all I
trying to
can think,
parrot it
my
already.
brain's just
Oh,
saying
no.
Garo slide in its head over and over again. Shit, what's the robot guy's name? What am I
Genos.
forgetting it? Yeah, Genis. Like in the second season, the metal on his arms was like a really weird, shiny, metallic. It just like looked very bad, and they had a lot of
Yes.
weird textures like that in the second season that like looked very clashing with the art style. They fixed that. He has like a more flat design that like makes sense with the art direction. And to be fair, the art itself looks good as a static image.
Mhm.
The issue then lies in that the majority of the show are static images. And it's just like you don't really even have to know too much about anime to tell that like very minimal effort seem to have been put into a lot of what's going on here with like, you know, very clear shortcuts of, okay, character walking toward the screen, let's just like slowly enlarge his PNG and also just like shake it up and down as it comes towards the screen. Or, you know, character yelling and like no background and just like, you know, shout lines. Just for a show that is very much reliant on its action, there was very little action within the first 3 episodes. And what they did show off also just the animation is one thing. I think that is the most easy thing to point out, is that it looks really bad and it looks poorly made, and I don't know why they had 6 years to to shoot this thing out. But I think just in general, the direction itself is also just like bottom tier. Almost every shot is like an upward pan of a character or like a side pan, and just even if it's just talking scenes where there is a lot of setup for this new monster association arc that they have to do. But man, I feel like even in the exposition moments, there is just nothing to pay attention to. Like they're just like panning across or up and down a character, and it is just like so monotonous and so like brain meltingly boring. But honestly, the few fight scenes we've gotten didn't do much better for me, because they're also awfully directed, and I feel bad because from what I've seen online, the guy that they had directing this season has no experience with action shows. I think he's mainly worked on like romance and slice of life anime, and he actually went on like a bit of a rant online on Twitter to just basically say that there was nothing he can do about it. He just had to do the best he could, and then he deactivated his Twitter account because he just did not want to get harassed anymore.
Right.
So
to be fair, he was getting harassed.
He was getting harassed a lot, which that isn't cool because, like, I mean, if whoever decided, Bandai and whoever, that was like, oh yeah, this is how we're gonna handle it. Like, they clearly put no love and care into this series, and they are just like riding on IP value alone, and it is just so incredibly sad to the point that the online like lash back to it has been incredible, not only in the way that people are memeing things like the Garo sliding down the green the hill.
Yeah, the hillside.
The hillside slide. But not only are the memes top tier, people are like reanimating or like re-editing scenes to look better than the show, and it's crazy that it really brought the best out of the community in a way that people are so disgusted by the way this adaptation's going that they're like, fuck it, I'll do it myself.
Not since the Star Wars movies has
right. I was gonna say
thought to try to redo it better.
Yeah, One Punch Man despecialized.
Yeah. So, I went in with my expectations at the bottom of the barrel, and that's where they remained. So, it's very unfortunate because like this arc specifically too, once it really gets rolling, is just like nonstop action. And
not anymore.
Yeah, if this is how the first couple setup episodes went, I don't even know how. I don't even know how they could possibly make the rest of this anime. Like, it does not compute.
I have a lot of thoughts about this, despite the fact that I have not subjected myself to a single minute of this season.
Yes.
So, actually, this is it's funny that we're talking about. Obviously, this was the worst anime of the season, when exactly a decade ago it was the obvious best anime of the season. And we also talked about like My Hero Academia being everyone's favorite superhero anime. This was everyone's favorite superhero anime 10 years ago. Also, before I forget, Kane, you used the phrase downward spiral. How did we never use that phrase talking about Uzumaki? It's literally a show about spiral.
Oh, no.
Wow.
Oh, man. It was right there.
It was right there.
Damn, anyway. A year in the making.
Let's go back and retroactively edit that episode real quick.
Right.
Oh, God, what happened episode, we can use that as the title.
Yeah. Anyway, so, yeah, One Punch Man. So because it just turned 10 and there wasn't a lot else in 2015 that I cared that much about 10 years later, I recently wrote a 10 years later article about it, about the first season, and some of the retrospective of the decade since then, and the second season, what happened, looking forward to the next. And so yes, I agree that no one should have expected anything better than the second season, and it's baffling, fascinating that they can take this long and accomplish this little, because like they know they're working on it years in advance, and it's still like day of. They're like, oh shit, I didn't finish my homework. Like,
they're doing their homework on the bus.
Yeah, exactly. So it's bizarre that this keeps happening, especially when they knew that it happened in the second season, and they had even longer in between seasons this time. I don't think the fact that it's JC Staff alone meant that it needed to be this bad, or even as bad as season 2 was, because it's a fine studio. It's capable. It's overall not mad how, and you certainly can't expect that all-star staff that you had with that House's season. That was definitely a one-time only thing. But by no means should the second season have been as bad as it was. And this one, from what everyone has been saying, is infinitely worse than even the second season was, which expectation should have been that it should have been roughly the same level as that. Season 2 had, like, some moments. There was this one dude, this one animator who just, like, saved the second season. Anytime they needed a decent action scene, he was the pinch hitter, and he was no Nakamura, he was no Arifumi Imai, but he pulled out some decent cuts when he needed to. So it had its moments. Granted, several of the best animated scenes were traced from the first season, but other than that, yeah. And also, I agree that the animation is not the only issue, and I even wrote about it a little bit in that article, that the compositing, the color design, that metal effect on Genos' arms was so bad, especially to how good the cinematography was in Madhouse's season. So I'm glad to hear that that's not as bad. I look at the Garo slide gif, and you tell me that there's good compositing, and I'm not sure I believe you.
Well, to be fair, there isn't most of the time, but like every once in a while there will be like a frame that I'm like, that looks all right.
Okay.
But single frame.
No, it is one frame, man, after all.
It is.
And yeah, I also agree that the direction is a huge part. Shingo Natsume's direction, I wrote about this a lot too, contributed so much beyond just the fact that he could, go through his Rolodex of all the best animators in the industry. It was the kind of direction that you want to see in an anime adaptation. And we didn't have that in season 2, and I'm not surprised that we don't have it in season 3, and that it's another huge blow to it. And I was looking through the guy's credits. He's done some romance, you could call it that. He's done some hentai, yep. He's done some legitimate hentai, some ecchi, and some relatively tasteful stuff. But that's kind of his
some
wheelhouse.
Intense romance.
Let's be real. Your average hentai is still animated better than this show.
Right. And hey, if nothing else, he knows how to direct action, right? There's some action.
Yeah.
Also, just a reminder that the manga itself is animated sometimes. And that means that we are literally at the point where the anime has less animation than the manga, which is amazing.
Murata is such a insane beast that he will like create a banger chapter and then he'll release it and be like, actually, I want to retry that. And he'll just do it again a little differently. It's like, wow, what?
Yeah. Like Viz just went back and re-uploaded a bunch of chapters because he's just like, yeah, I know those were good, but it's an online series, so I can just keep remaking them as much as I want.
Yeah.
I'll go back and update this. I wasn't happy with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just another, like I'm glad you brought up Shingo Natsume, just because it's like the animation alone is one thing, but the fact that like the camera itself has maybe 2 ways of moving in this season is just like so mind-numbing to watch. It's just awful.
Yeah. That's a killer of so many shows, anime or otherwise. I remember that was one of my main criticisms of the Cowboy Bebop Netflix show, was every scene was just like cut to zoom in of Spike's face, then cut to zoom in of other characters, then cut back to zoom. It was just watching static shot after static shot. So I can only imagine in an anime like this, it makes it even worse because you could do whatever you wanted. You are not bound by reality, and yet you choose this.
And I think part of that is that there is no coherency in all of its parts. Like I think everyone was given an assignment and they were just like, let's like staple it together at the end, because there is one thing I wanted to point out specifically is there's a fight scene in the latest episode with Garo facing off against the Royal Ripper or something and Insect God. And this Ripper character is like he's like a slasher villain looking guy, like all bandaged up, and he has like two giant machetes basically. And throughout the fight scene in the anime, some frames he'll have tits and some he won't. Like they literally just like transition the character every couple of screens, and I'm like, was somebody animating this not told who this character was?
Wow.
So it sounds like the editing was even completely off the rails too, where they're just like, yeah, this looks like a show.
Yeah, these two parts look like they belong together. Another thing that I'll point out is Saitama specifically. I know as a character, he's a very kind of laid back compared to like the more, rambunctious people in the cast, but it feels like his voice actor is also just phoning it in for this season. Like, I know he's supposed to be kind of monotone and melancholy, but I don't think he's shifted pitches at all the entire show. He's like reading straight across, and I don't know if that's a failing of like whoever the director is for like telling him how to say his lines, or they're just like, just read, bro. Like, yeah, there just seems to be such a lack of care on every level for this show, and I mean, everyone is going to point at the animation, but it's just every moving. No, I shouldn't say moving. Every part of this production is just failing, and there's no cohesion, and it's such a shame because, like you said, Kestrel, a decade ago, this was the gold standard for an action series. And another thing, by the way, I just looked it up, and there is a different sound director even from season 1 to season 2 and 3. So, yeah, you had a different director, different sound director, and probably say you were like, well, we already know this is a pile of shit, so why bother? Yeah. But since you brought him up, the sound director also sucks because there's like a double ninja fight in the third episode, and it was doing this thing where it was like recycling a punch sound during like a 10-second like punching spree, and it was just like, it felt like a YouTube poop. Like I was literally watching a YouTube poop, or like David Lynch doing something like crazy and silly. Like, it's insane. Well, now everyone needs to watch it. Yeah, maybe One Punch Man 3 is I'll call it Lynchian, and that'll get people into
there
it.
You go. Yeah, I mean, if the director sucks and the sound director sucks, those are the two people in charge of directing the voice acting, so it makes sense. Yeah, the other thing is, the tragedy of all this is that we know the good route that this could be, and that's Mob Psycho. That's the adaptation that got consistent, incredible all the way through. And granted, that actually has an ending and only took 3 cours, which obviously is not the case here. But that is the good end for One Punch Man that we never got. Yeah. Man, well, maybe when Bones is done with My Hero, they can schedule in a One Punch season 4 takeover. And that's the thing. That's another thing is like, I didn't want season 3 to be good. It was very clear for a while that it was not going to be good. But I really didn't want to have to tell people, all right, watch season 1 and then read chapters X through Y and then watch season 3 because it gets good again. Because that's a bit too much of the mixed media thing. So I didn't want it to like bounce back that much, and it became pretty clear that it wasn't going to. But yeah, it's definitely one of those 12 episodes, and they can't. Yeah, they're sorry, I'm just repeating myself from this article. But you can't match the level that season 1 was at. Nobody can. I don't think it's possible anymore. Nope. So that's already like a death sentence going into it. and season 1 already had like this massive wall in front of it of how are we going to make this look better than the manga looks, because as we mentioned, Murata will just fucking animate chapters, and they accomplished it, and few teams could have. So now any future season has both of those walls to overcome and try to live up to, and at least one, if not both, are impossible for most teams. And we've just been getting the worst possible teams on them, and the worst production budgets and timelines and coordination. So yeah. They were kind of doomed no matter what, but then they just went full in the opposite direction, as bad as you can get.
Yeah, I remember before they officially announced that JC Staff was on it again, there was so much copium going around that people were like, "Oh, it's Matt House is back," or Mappa. I feel like a lot of people were on this they
Mappa
convinced themselves that Mappa was doing it. Yeah. And then I remember before that even too, Murata had opened his own animation studio or something like that.
That's right.
And I tinfoil hatted myself. I'm like, oh my god, Murata's gonna create the next anime. It's gonna fix it. We're gonna be back. But no, it didn't happen like that.
The back levels were off the charts,
dude. I was huffing the opium.
It's like, on one hand, it is impossible for a new studio that he just founded to have produced One Punch Man. But on the other hand, A, it couldn't have been worse than what we got. And B, he could probably draw every single frame of the series and it would actually be incredible, because he's just insane like that. He'll just get bored and create animations on Twitter that are just mind-boggling. So yeah, he probably could have.
He's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts. And you know what? I'm gonna keep watching it for the love of the game. You guys gotta know how this ends.
I'm so sorry. For the audience out there, a few hours ago, none of us had watched One Punch Man Season 3, and then I called Brandon a coward and told him that I needed him to watch it to talk about it.
And he took that personally.
Yes.
I did. To be fair, I'm watching about 10 less anime this season than last, so I felt like if there was any burdens to bear, this one was big enough on its own. So,
what a cross to bear.
Yes.
Brandon died for our sins.
Well, I appreciate the effort, and I look forward to seeing if there's perhaps another solid frame or two.
Yeah, I mean, I'll let you know.
Given the trajectory we've been going so far, I just can't wait for season 4.
It's just going to be a flip book they send you in the mail.
Yeah, it'll be like
the manga's actually a flip book.
That's true. Yeah. One Punch Man Season 3's got nothing on Captain Underpants.
Season 4 is just the key visual. They just put it on the screen for 24 minutes a week.
And then they play a 64 kilobit per second MP3 of the theme over top of it.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Good stuff.
Alrighty. Well, let's shift gears here. I want to hear a little bit about what Mark is watching for the season. So out of the shows that he picked, I went with the Mangaka World show. Completely
a mangaka's weirdly wonderful workplace. That's the full title.
Okay. Yeah, I picked it for the alliteration. I don't know anything about it, so you're gonna have to educate me on what this is, other than it's a workplace comedy. So I'm just gonna go with It's the Office.
It's a workplace comedy. You got it. Okay, we're done. No.
Boom. Excellent. Good. Thank you, Mark. Moving on.
No, it is kind of your I don't know, run of the mill workplace comedy, but it is a workplace comedy. It's about a young woman, Futami, who is getting serialized for the first time as a mangaka, and you know, and she has a huge bundle of anxieties. So you know, things like getting her getting storyboards done on time, getting chapters done on time, you know, just like really drives her up the wall. And you know, it's one of those cute girls doing cute things, workplace comedy kind of things. The the real driver of the show is, as I said, her anxieties, just how much she gets worked up. You know, about various things. The star of the show so far to me has been her assistant, Hazama, who is not. She kind of takes a little bit of a sadistic pleasure in keeping her boss straight, which is kind of fun. And so yeah, like so far, as I said, it's just been it started out as a like a lot of manga. It started out as a one shot. It's now a manga that is serialized in Comic Days, Kodansha's Comic Days, and it's been around for about 6 years now. And so maybe a little kind of surprising that it's gotten an anime at this point, that it's been around for so long. But yeah, I mean, it's fun. I wouldn't call it necessarily amazing. But it brings a smile to my face every week. It's a good little bit of chicken soup for the soul, but nothing that is nothing that's super challenging, nothing that is you know, not a whole lot of meat to it, I guess is what I would say.
Mm.
So that's honestly kind of it. Of the handful of things, you know, like I love a good workplace comedy. I love the workplace rom-coms, and you know, so that's the sort of stuff that uh, I kind of latch on to really quickly, and this was one that kind of jumped out at me. And you know, it's in that weird place where I think it's really good. I think it's really enjoyable. I have a really good time with it. But at the same time, there's nothing about it that really stands out. It's just one of those shows that's like, hey, this is fun.
It has a manga as a source material or
Yes.
anything like. Do you know if that's like a 4 coma type thing or something, or if it's more
I
sort of like
don't believe
Wotakoi,
so.
which is the only other workplace rom-com I'm particularly aware of.
Yeah, I think it's more like that. I don't think it's a 4 coma. I'm not sure about that. I can't. I haven't read any of the manga, so I don't know. I don't think it's available over here.
Interesting. So
So I'm not sure. But yeah. But you know, uh, so many. Well, I don't know about so many, but you know, a lot of workplace comedies or whatever. It's like, oh, let's write about a mangaka like struggling like that. That's something that I know about.
Yeah.
yeah,
Like they spin the dartboard and they're like, and the show will be about this.
Yeah, it's just like writing a novel about being a writer.
Hey, write what you know.
Exactly.
Fair.
Exactly.
yeah.
So
Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it at least somewhat, because I do like looking out for those types of shows as well, just because at least, and I'm first to admit I don't look especially hard, but like rom-commy office culture shows don't turn up very often, so you're mostly getting school-based things and stuff like that.
Right.
So it's nice to see romance and some comedy elements and things in like adult settings that are a little more relatable, you know, at this point in my life. So maybe this is one that's worth checking out as well, at least a little bit, because it's There's another show that we'll talk about in a bit that I am really enjoying, but there is some stuff that is a little grating to me, and I have to always remind myself to be like, these are teenagers. They will process things differently. So
yeah, I've really appreciated and enjoyed over the last few years seeing, the little bit more of the workplace stuff as well. I enjoy a good high school rom-com, but getting back into the more what we would call in the publishing world the new adult stuff. Actual young adults as opposed to what young adult points towards teenagers. I've appreciated that stuff as well, and I think this one fits well. It's just, as I said, it's just kind of fun in that way. Nothing romantic so far. In fact, I think, not that this necessarily would mean anything, but I think there's only been one male character in the entire thing, and we see him for maybe 30 seconds. So we're four episodes in. But yeah, it. I don't know. I keep saying it. It's fun.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with it being light. Sometimes that can be a good palate cleanser.
Mm-hmm.
Just to have something you can put on and just kind of enjoy without, like, it's engaging enough. Because one of my pet peeves for media is when people say, like, just turn your brain off and enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
I despise that term, but at least with a light show, you could still be invested somewhat in the characters in the world and stuff, but you don't have to worry about tragedy striking or 13 novels worth of lore in the background that you have to be paying attention to, etc., etc. The stakes are low, but they can be important for the episode that stands or whatever. So
yeah, no, 100% agree. And this is absolutely a lighter show that doesn't require a whole lot of commitment to it, which makes it nice. And honestly, kind of like all the stuff that I'm following this season sort of fits in that, which after last season is also kind of nice, get a little bit of a break. It's and with this you kind of get thrown into it. That's not how I wanted to say that. You kind of get like what it's going to be about, like really within the first few minutes, because the show opens up with uh she's desperately trying to get a storyboard done at deadline, and she sort of finishes it off at like 2 a.m, and her assistant is like, great, now send it in. And then like she's like, but what if I start bothering my editor? It's 2 o'clock in the morning. Maybe she's on a hot date. Maybe she's sleeping, and the assistant's just like, come on, just send it in. If she's not available, like, it'll be fine. And so you have to kind of dance around her anxieties a lot with things that really shouldn't make you anxious, except that when you're dealing with anxiety, anything can make you anxious. And as I said, like her assistant just kind of takes sadistic delight in just pushing through those things, and keeping her on the straight and narrow, which is a lot of fun. And that's kind of what we've gotten so far. So it's a low commitment show, which I like. It's really nice. And as I said, I mean, I don't have a ton to really say about it. There's not a whole lot to analyze about it, but it is kind of one of the delights of my week every week. I of the things that I'm watching, it's easily the one that I'm liking the most.
Nice. Well, glad you're enjoying it, and it's good to have a chill season every once in a while.
Agreed.
Especially depending on what may be up on the horizon when it comes to things. So cool. All right. Well, then I think we have another pretty light show here next to talk about, and that is the Gintama spinoff that Kestrel and Bran, I believe, are partaking in and wanted to talk about. So, without further ado, how is this? I want to just immediately, the first thing, without any knowledge, is I saw it and I thought about like GTO or something. But
Yeah.
yeah.
It's very specifically a parody of a live action Japanese, kind of teacher show. And it was based on like this little one-off. You did a few of them, but just like little extra omake segment in the manga. And then it got adapted into a few of those after some anime episodes. And then someone picked it up for a full spin-off novel series. And then this is the adaptation of that novel series now. So it is an adaptation of extrapolation of parody of this old Japanese teacher series from the 70s. Yeah. And it's so
very specific.
So before this, before we started recording, Kate was like, the gag spinoff is not that great. What a surprise. No. Gintama is a gag series. And in fact, as good as the comedy from the manga is, a lot of the best comedy is the filler shit that the anime makes up. By no means should it inherently be any weaker for being a gag show, which it always was, or an original story not being written by Sorachi. So those aren't valid excuses or reasons that it should be any lesser. And I think the only part of it maybe that's made me like really laugh out loud so far is the very first scene of the entire series, which was very clearly not from the source material and written by the anime staff.
I was just gonna say that was probably my favorite part too, was them like passing the baton.
Yeah.
And like the picture of Sorachi that's just like a PNG or something, and the monkeys working with him. It was
like the passing the baton to Netflix and all the Dragon Ball jokes. Like, you've moved on from GT straight to Evolution. That was good shit. That was like vintage Gintama, fourth wall breaking, very meta humor. But most of it is just kind of, this is a funny premise for 1 minute at a time.
It feels like
last 224.
Yeah, it feels like at least the format of the first episode was giving me like kind of like what Kestrel mentioned, like GTO. It's giving format like very formal format of like a school drama thing, but the author's like, but what if it was Gintama characters? Like it's just pretty like a bread and butter comedic school narrative, and then each character doing their shtick, It's like that's kind of how the episode opens too, where it's like, okay, let's reintroduce everybody, and like let's have Madao mention that he's unemployed, and let's have like Kondo like get stabbed in the ass. Like they're just like let's hit every beat.
Everyone is just so flanderized. They're just such flat caricatures of their gags from the original series.
I wouldn't be surprised if Hijikata's word count is like 50 to 80% just the word mayo.
Right.
So like,
and like Yamazaki with Anpan, like, okay, yes, I get that you are referencing something that was funny. You got to do something with it to make it funny here.
Yeah. I think, I think the biggest detriment to that is that it is a series based on Sorachi's work and not him himself making it. So, And
like I said, I think the anime staff of the Gintama anime proper can do Sorachi level or sometimes even better, even with comedy. But it does not seem like, other than that opening scene, that they're doing much to elevate this. And yeah, it's, like I was mentioning with One Punch Man, it's like you have such a high bar to clear. Like, it would probably be a much better show if it was a gag spin-off of a serious show or a not that funny show. But when you're trying to do a gag spin-off of the funniest anime ever, that's kind of hard.
Yeah.
Very high bar to clear.
It is. Scratching my head, they're both under Bandai Namco. I wonder who the culprit is here.
Another thing that's interesting about it is, so like we were talking about cinematography before, and when we talk about cinematography as a department in anime production specifically, that does not relate to like shot composition. It's specifically the filters, compositing, coloring, all of those elements that make it look the way it does beyond just the drawings and color. So that level is way back to 2006 Gintama. It had improved so much throughout the Sunrise Bandai Namco Pictures years as it got more popular and successful and got more money thrown at it and started doing seasons instead of 200 in one go. And it's right back to where it started. And it's kind of, the comedy is in that area as well. Because in like the first 40 episodes of the Gintama anime, it was maybe funnier than this and had more notable moments. But it wasn't like exceptional like it became later on. And this just feels like it's right back to that in every way.
Yeah. I think one thing that is going to be a clear way in that how this show struggles is that something that made Gintama really special was that you spent 200-300 episodes with these characters just like laughing your ass off, and then all of a sudden the stakes get really high and shit gets real serious, and then you like realize, oh, I really care about what happens to these characters. And I don't think they can really do that in this series, and I don't really want them to either. Just because of the format of it being a spin-off. Like, I assume they're might try their hand at it a few times for like maybe small segments of it, but I don't think it really works the same outside of the context of Gintama. Despite, half of the episodes not having to do with anything, any kind of like canonical story. Like, once the story did get going, it's like they really knew what they were doing and how to like hit those emotional strings. So I don't really think they can do that here.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if it tries to be anything more, and if so, how long that takes. Because it's definitely like, a 20-second joke spread across 20 minutes, and then an after-school special conclusion. And that's kind of all we've gotten so far each episode. So, yeah, it's hard to imagine how much else it's planning to be, because it definitely doesn't seem too ambitious at this point.
That's true. Yeah, it's not something I think I should have to worry about. I just don't think they should even really attempt it.
Yeah. No, it's definitely valid. Like, yeah, that's why Gintama is so powerful, because not only is it the funniest shit around, but it builds all that into a narrative that is actually really engaging and you care about. And yeah, even those arcs where it does get really serious have moments of levity where it's still just as hilarious as it ever was. And, this, after having come off of, 100 episodes of that kind of balance, going into this where it has no interest in being anything but a comedy, and it's not even as good at being a comedy as the serious arcs of its predecessor were, is not the best place to be.
No. But yeah, I think kind of getting at what you were saying earlier, they're probably going to I assume like follow the novel as like normally as they would, but it would be nice if BNP just kind of like did their own thing sometimes too. Like, I would not mind them just being like doing one-offs that they just like we had a funny idea a while ago that we couldn't make for this show, so let's just do it here.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah. I mean,
It's
like I
it's
said,
enjoyable enough. It is similar to One Punch Man. It's like we're the precedent that was set is
Yes.
never going to be attained.
For sure. It was never going to be Gintama. And unlike One Punch Man, it's fine. Like,
Yeah.
I'm enjoying myself. I get a few chuckles each episode. I'm just not crying from laughter.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I totally agree. Like I was saying before, the gulf between the humor of that opening scene, which clearly had to have been made for the anime adaptation, and then the whole rest of the series is just so wide that without having read any of the source material, it communicates pretty strongly that everything after it is directly adapted from the novel.
Yeah.
So that's my guess, and if that's true, then yes, I would love filler. I would love as much anime original content as possible, because that's the shit I'm down for.
The one show we're begging for filler.
Yeah. A couple other things I need to say about this. Just to be clear about how much it is a direct parody of this classic live action series. That series is called Sannen Bigumi Ginpachi Sensei, and this is Sannen Z Gumi Ginpachi Sensei. So it is literally the exact same title. They just changed two consonants.
That.
Yeah, it doesn't even have Gintama in the title in Japanese.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, so I mentioned when I was going through my AX experience that, in fact, they had the world premiere of this series at AX over 3 months ago. There were a lot of very weird things about that experience. One of them, of course, I noticed that, yes, the writing, direction, cinematography were all very much back at like 2006 levels. But also it was dubbed unexpectedly. And it was...
Oh yeah, I remember you talked about that.
Right. It was so weird because they had like, you know, the segments where they have, you know, just the Yorozia sign and just the three characters talking. They do it all throughout Gintama. So they had one of those with the three Seiyu talking about specifically this world premiere at Anime Expo, and then immediately went into an English episode. So weird as shit. And also, because I didn't recognize any of the voice actors, and this series has gone through a bunch of different dub casts, and some of them are surprisingly good considering how hard it is to dub Gintama. But this one, the reason I didn't recognize anyone is because it was the cast that they used to just like silently dub the first, I don't know, 50 episodes of the series on Hulu. And then they just went back and I guess dubbed a bunch more of it. And it was also used to dub this new series, which I think is getting a simuldub even.
Wow.
And it is a cast from a studio in Miami who has like never done anything and has like no acting experience at all. So that would explain why it was a particularly bad dub.
Oh man.
But the weirdest thing about this premiere, which I didn't realize at the time, and I only realize now that I'm watching the series in order, is that it was not episode 1. In fact, that episode still has not aired.
What? What?
What?
It looks
so
from the preview of yesterday's episode that it's going to be next week's episode. So episode 5, maybe? That's what they premiered in English for some reason 3 months early.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe that was what they thought was the strength of the strongest dub episode. I don't know.
I don't know.
The Haruhi approach to
Right.
Yeah.
To a timeline.
Pretty much.
Interesting.
Yeah. So anyway, all of this to say, we're enjoying ourselves. It's not One Punch Man. It's fine. It's just not Gintama.
Yeah.
It passes.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, I think we have time to squeeze in one more here. So I'm going to deviate a little bit from the schedule here, and we'll sub in a show that we've talked a little bit about in the past and is another kind of lightweight show because the one that was supposed to be here, I think there's a little more meat on the bone to talk about given the subject matter and everything, and we'll just have to save that for another time. But I want to chat a little bit about Ranma. If only because it is also funny and lighthearted and generally good this season as well. The one thing I wanted to tell you, Kestrel, because I think it was a joke you had made when we first talked about this in like the very first season. But man, they're going really hard with we're not putting nipples on anything.
God, that was the first thing I was gonna say.
Yeah. They
Fucking cowards.
Yeah, the cowardice is intense. It's nothing but Mannequin City up in this show right now. And
It's like
I guess in their
every
defense,
shot is just these bizarre mannequin boobs.
yeah, just bizarre mannequin boobs in all sorts of different scenarios. And I guess to give them credit, it probably was the only way they were allowed to do that. Like, just have them completely exposed without, like, jumping through other hoops or something. If they're like, well, what if we just don't, put nips on them? And apparently that was cool. So I thought about that. The second the first episode of the new season starts, you're like, whoa, okay.
Yep.
But yeah, overall, I think this is still a very enjoyable show. It looks great still. I like the new characters because I don't have any knowledge of the original or anything. So like, I am very smitten with a character that's a foil to Shampoo, and his name is Moose. And he has a silly gimmick to his combat style as well. And I was also surprised, and this is obviously a spoiler of sorts, but how quickly into this season, because I thought it was going to last like the whole show, that they just gave up the idea that Ranma transforming was going to be a secret.
Right, yep.
Yeah, now just everyone knows.
Yep.
There's like, oh, okay, because I'm so used to that being like a secret that lasts the whole show, or it gets some like big reveal that is accidental or traumatizing or like done by the evil character in the show. And this was just like, nah, I'm gonna use it as a tool in a fight, and then whoever finds out. Who gives a shit anymore?
It's similar to how I felt with To Your Eternity when we were talking about it earlier, about, like, oh, how's Fushi gonna hide himself in the modern world? He's just not, and no one cares. Everyone's cool with it. They just immediately embrace it.
Not only do they embrace it in this show, they immediately go to, can we just keep Ranma as a girl?
Right.
Like,
all the boys in his class are just immediately thirsty for him.
Yeah, and just try to stop any attempt to change back.
Yeah. Like, oh, he's hot now. Cool.
Yeah, so I see no downfall.
That's cool.
Yeah. A fun little joke that Emily laughed at as well is also Ranma's swimsuit says boy on it.
Yes.
Which I thought was very funny. The jokes still hit well, I think. I get several chuckles out of things every episode, especially now that Ranma has also been revealed to be absolutely terrified of cats to the point that he'll turn into one.
Mm-hmm.
But not even in like a furry way. He just has a psychotic break. I think I laughed the hardest at him doing it on purpose and almost drowning in the last episode, where it's only there for a few brief moments, but he straps Shampoo to his back because she transforms into a cat, and then he jumps into the ocean and she transforms, and then for like a second it shows him screaming underwater almost immediately. And I was like, yeah, this show knows what's up. And then we get to the point where we're punching sharks.
Yes. I think the show might have literally jumped the shark several times this past episode.
Several times, both with riders and without.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is definitely kind of like what, Mark, you were saying about about mangaka, but out of the 4 shows that I'm watching now, this one is definitely the one that I most look forward to because I know it knows exactly what it is. It's there to give you a good time and give you some jokes and some, decently animated action when it wants to. And it just has that pristine, like, HD 2D retro, like, art style where they preserve enough of the original that it feels like Ranma, but it has those modern changes to, like, the facial shapes and stuff so that it doesn't look too antiquated for people who are so used to what modern anime looks like. It really strikes that balance well.
I just love how, like, in this last episode, like, even take out the shark action, just to describe to someone the plot of any given second of Ranma, you have to be like, okay, so he transforms into a girl when he, depending on the temperature of the water, and then there's this other character who transforms into a cat depending on the temperature of the water. And he also transforms into kind of like a cat-human hybrid because he's scared of cats when there's a cat around. So what he has to do strategically is get this character into the water to become a cat, to attach to him, to scare himself into becoming a cat-human hybrid, to beat this other character, to turn himself back into a boy.
Yeah, to beat this old mosquito woman who has that has the secret to him being able to turn back into a boy, because he hasn't been able to do that for a few episodes now.
Because she hit a pressure point that makes it so that he can't handle hot water, and he needs hot water to turn back into a boy.
Which, don't think about it too hard, because the whole thing up to this point has just been if hot water touches him. And hot water can still touch him, it's just now it's so hot that apparently it doesn't work anymore.
Yeah,
so,
it's too much.
Yeah, that Emily was laughing about that. She's like, this show just doesn't give a shit about what's happening, does it? And I was like, nope.
Not at all.
It commits to it 100%, but it does not care to, like, give you lore or do anything. It just wants to make it as ridiculous as possible. And I also love the gag that the announcer guy is the same every time. It's just a dude at their school that carries a microphone around.
Yeah.
And he's there for every fight that happens.
Hey man, some people know their life calling.
Yeah, it's right place, right time. That's what it's all about, and this guy has it down to a science. Yeah, it's super good. Would recommend, anybody who wants a good comedy to watch it, even with the cowardice of leaving the nipples out. But yeah, I just wanted to chat about it for a little because it's not like there's much to really talk about, like, other than those couple plot points where it's like now everyone knows the secret, so I wonder how that's going to change his school life once they go back to school, and then the whole complete fear of cats, and then Moose. Yeah. So
it's pretty much like, I don't know, I read like a few volumes of the manga. I never watched any of the classic anime. I know it's very long, but it seems like, at least for this adaptation, not a single episode can go by without them introducing some new absurd gimmick. So that seems to be kind of the format that's playing with.
Yeah, and then everything is always a martial arts contest.
Of course.
Even though it has nothing to do with martial arts. It's just now a martial arts contest.
And everyone has fallen into one of those ponds and gotten cursed in some way when they touch hot or cold water.
And as somebody who has read the entirety of the manga, I'll just, spoiler alert, it's gonna keep going.
It's gonna keep. Well, I like how some of the characters, like Ranma's dad, just fully embraces being the panda like all the time. He's like, I'd rather be this than the opposite. He spends, I think in this new season, I've seen him as human dad for like 5 seconds.
Right.
But why not? You get to be a big panda.
One of my favorite gags from the manga, that I haven't seen a moment of the TV show, so I'm not sure if it's shown up in here yet, but one of my favorite gags from the manga is anytime Ranma is getting on to his dad and is demanding an explanation about something, his dad turns into a panda and is like, well, I can't talk. Like,
yeah,
pandas
can't done talk. That a few times. he'll basically turn himself into a panda and then just turn like a piece, like a wood sign around that just says like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess speaking of Gintama, I guess Elizabeth from Gintama kind of has the same shtick as Panda Dad.
Oh yeah, that's true.
This probably was the inspiration behind that. Speaking of inspiration from Ranma, I don't think we ever really talked about it. Was that last season? Yeah, last season. But I appreciated a lot the fact that Don embraced its Ranma reference so much that as soon as Gigi gets the Ranma curse, he starts singing the classic Ranma anime opening.
Yeah, that was cute.
Indeed, but yeah, just it's the. I also want to say like you could generally pick this show up whenever and just just enjoy it and be like, yep, it doesn't matter. Even people who've watched it the whole time barely know what's going on.
It's not going to make any more sense.
Nope, you'll just know the characters' names and that two of them are supposed to get married and kind of like each other, but don't at the same time.
I mean, on the other hand, what I just had to describe for the scene to have any context, you kind of do need to have seen it all.
Yeah, I suppose, unless you just embrace it in its ridiculousness immediately. You're like one of those people who's like, yeah, whatever, fucking rock on. And then you just go from there. Because I have a couple friends who are like that. They would just embrace it wholeheartedly, if like no matter where it picked up, and then they would learn about it as it goes.
Yeah, I guess this is maybe just my perspective, actually having the backstory. That it makes me feel like some of it makes more sense. But in reality, if I was watching like this latest episode with someone else and I was explaining all of that to them, and then they were like, "Oh, okay, I guess that makes sense. What about the shark?" I'd be like, "Oh, never mind. That part is not explained at all. It doesn't make any sense." So I guess it works just as well if you haven't seen any of it.
Yeah. The shark is just kind of there for a scene, and no one knows it's there. And then there's a joke that it's a shark, and then they just do fighting. And there you go. Oh, and then the mosquito woman can do the Kamehameha wave, but it's a shark. So there you go.
So given that, yes, I guess I'll agree that, in fact, you get a slightly different experience, but no less of an experience for having no context.
Indeed. All right. I'm good then. I just wanted to chat about it for a little bit to just talk about how I'm still enjoying it. And there was a brief part of me that's like, hopefully this is still as good because I didn't read it or watch it. I'm like, or is it going to wear off? And it's like, nope, still super good. So I think that's only on Netflix though, which is not inherently a problem. But if you have like Crunchyroll and that's your main source of watching anime, you're out of luck when it comes to legitimately watching Ranma at the very least. So.
Just to kick One Punch Man one more time while it's down. I was confused. I probably should, but I don't think it deserves that. That would give it one too many punches. But I've totally figured that the new season was going to be on Crunchyroll, seeing as they also made like a weird mobile game that they still advertise on Crunchyroll. But I think it's only on Hulu, which you have to watch through Disney Plus. Overall, just awful experience watching that show. So
to be fair, that has been the case for all 3 seasons of One Punch Man.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They've never been on Crunchyroll. They've always been on Hulu. Yeah.
That's so weird.
Yeah. It's because Viz used to put everything on Hulu. They've gone back and forth a little bit, but for the most part, that has been like their primary streaming partner for stuff that they like own the simulcast rights from the beginning.
Okay.
Granted, Hulu won't exist in a few months, so
yeah.
Alrighty, well, I think we've talked about a good amount of shows here for the season. We left a couple on the cutting room floor here, but we can always return back to those as the season sort of wraps up and give them the attention they deserve. So I think it's about time we wrap it up for the evening. So how about starting with Bran? You tell us where we... Oh, wait, no, let's
recommend.
Let's not do that.
Wow.
No, I don't want to actually. I forgot that we also have potentially some recommendations from folks. So if anybody has any of those, feel free to step up. I just selfishly don't have any, so I was ready to be like, time to fucking clock out.
It's fair. Well, you name dropped me, so I'll start with my recommendation, which I assume it'll still be in theaters when this goes up. So go see Chainsaw Man.
Yeah, let's fucking go.
It's so good. It's
so
amazing.
good. Incredible. Absolute cinema, as the kids say.
Absolute cinema.
Very Kino.
Yes, peak even.
Yeah, I think it's about time I give the show another go, because I know I bounced off it hard the first time around, but maybe I'll enjoy it more the second time around, and then I can experience the movie as well.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah, so I'm glad you said that, because that was going to be my first recommendation for sure.
Nice.
And yeah, the biggest recommendation I can give is we finally got the second core of Frieren on Blu-ray just in time for the second season to start up in 2 months.
Nice.
And if you are the sort who buys extravagant collector's editions, you are in luck for that part 2, because you get this massive, it's literally Frieren's suitcase, and it has like every little extra goodie you could ask for inside of it, including a coffee table book-sized grimoire, which is 200 pages of art and interviews and all that good shit. And yeah, just everything about it is exceptional and exactly what I want in a release of my favorite anime. So highly recommend that. Cannot recommend it more.
It should have been a mimic that you can get
I
in
know. Season 2.
That
Season
would've
2.
been good.
That would have been perfect.
Yeah. That would have been worth like $1,000 easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't even have like really any mimic stuff in it.
Maybe if they do like a super collector's version that has both cores.
Of course, right.
We'll see.
Yeah, I'll be there first in line.
Yeah.
Embrace the mimic gimmick. That's what you got to do. On that thread, I don't know if I had mentioned this previously, but you can also buy the Frieren soundtrack on vinyl, and it is quite cheap. It's 2 records for like $40 MSRP. You can get it for 30 something if you got discounts. So, obviously beautiful soundtrack, and it's got some great art on the packaging. And on that thread, you can get another beautiful Evan Call soundtrack on vinyl, Violet Evergarden, that has a deluxe edition and a standard edition. I actually broke character and bought the standard edition this time.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know. It hurt. But the deluxe edition is much more money and not that much more extravagant. So, yeah.
I need to grab that. I really need the Violet Evergarden one.
Yeah. Yeah, I think those are definitely my most important recommendations for right now. And last time I mentioned One Battle After Another, which I had not yet quite seen, and I've now seen it in VistaVision and IMAX 70mm, and both are spectacular, and it is just a great film, no matter the format. So, I recommend that as well, even though it's been out for over a month, and you've probably all seen it.
Yeah. Oh, plot twist. I did buy the Violet Evergarden soundtrack. It's just on back order because Light in the Attic is slow as fuck.
Oh, damn.
Didn't you mention something about that before? Or was it for this vinyl in particular?
I think
Kestrel
was getting one previously, but they were like moving their from like Seattle to Texas for their like main like where all their shit is. So
distribution center or something. Yeah.
So
I had a vinyl. It was a Silent Voice, and that was months of waiting, and eventually it went back up on Crunchyroll. So I was like, okay, I'll just cancel this and get it through them.
Yeah.
But speaking of the silent voice, we need that Chainsaw Man movie vinyl from our boy Kensuke Ushio, because oh my god, the pool scene.
I need to hear the pool scene. I need it again.
Jesus. Such a goat, as the kids say.
Yeah.
Such a goat.
I'm down with the kids.
Yeah, totally. Very, very hip. All right, Mark, do you have anything to recommend?
Yeah. So as we record this, we're a few days away from Halloween, so it's still spooky season. And finally, after it being out for 8 years, I think, this year I finally played. It's going to be a video game recommendation for the first time, Doki Doki Literature Club.
Nice.
And I highly recommend that. If you have some mental health issues and you don't internalize things well, then maybe stay away from it. But aside from that, it's an amazing game. And if you play the original edition, it's free. So, which is always nice. So, a couple years ago, they came out with they ported it to consoles and added a whole bunch of extra stuff to it and whatnot for Doki Doki Literature Club Plus. That's not free, but if you play the original edition, it is. So.
And if you like that and want several more millions of words in that vein, you can check out our friend DJ's game Lessons in Love.
Here you go.
All right, Kate, anything from your end to recommend, manga and such?
Manga not so much at the moment because my backlog is devastating, so I'm trying not to buy more books until I figure out something here. However, you know what doesn't take up space? Digital video games. So a new Katamari game just came out.
Yeah.
And this is not the same as the iOS game that came out earlier this year. That was a whole other Katamari game. This is another Katamari game, which is available for all of your rolling things up needs. It's still very much Katamari. It's higher resolution, but like the models of the things you're rolling up are still blocky. So that's kind of funny. That has not, changed, and like the sound effects are still the same and stuff like that, so that's great. What else is good? If you like side-scrolling beat 'em ups, Absalom is good. If you like games that are just crack in video game form, there's a game out called Ball X Pit. No one's sure if that's just Ball Pit or Ball versus Pit or ball
Hunter
CrossFit.
Hunter all over again.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
I've been calling it Ball Pit because of the Hunter Hunter rules. And that is digital slot machine crack of that sort.
For you Balatro heads.
Yep, for your Balatro heads. For your Balatro heads, Vampire Survivors put Balatro in Vampire Survivors like today. So there was apparently a crossover with an extra level that's Balatro themed in Vampire Survivors. So all the digital crack is out there, and you can just go get some digital crack. It's all very good.
Yeah, I have too much digital crack. I still haven't even bought Final Fantasy Tactics yet.
Yeah, I'm like about ready to play my video game for the year or 2 years or whatever, and I'm like bouncing between Final Fantasy Tactics, Dragon Quest 1 and 2, then 3, or 3, then 1 and 2, new Pokemon, new Digimon, some game from a franchise that I haven't been playing for 20 years. I don't know.
But
that's a tough choice for your biannual video game.
Yeah,
I know.
those are all very good games, so I don't know what to tell you there.
I know.
To be fair, they should all take you about half a year to complete.
I know.
I think the Dragon Quests are relatively short as far as RPGs are concerned.
Yeah, I'm hoping the early ones are, because Dragon Quest XI is like, I don't know, 1,000 hours. But 1 and 2 are probably pretty short, so I might tackle those.
Yeah, I think I was looking them up before when I was trying to figure out what game I was going to play next, and I think, and I can double check here, they clock in somewhere in like, yeah, there isn't anything for the 1 and 2 HD remakes, but
Right, that
for
comes
the
out in like a
original,
day or two.
yeah, for the original 1 and 2, like 10 to 15 hours a piece. Like,
Okay.
I'm sure they've been elongated somewhat for this,
Right.
or they haven't been, in which that's why they're being released together.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah,
The second game's a bit longer than the first game,
Okay.
particularly in terms of content, because the first game, at least the original, is 99% grinding.
Okay.
yeah, Dragon Quest 1 is listed as about 12 hours, and Dragon Quest 2 is somewhere in the vicinity of 17.
Yeah, I might start with that because that comes out in a few days, and I don't know. I feel like, especially since from that Blu-ray set, I just finished rewatching Frieren again last night, and just being reminded constantly about how much Japanese fantasy is just Dragon Quest now. I feel like I've got to go back and just like experience the original.
It's fair. I just recently passed 100 hours on Persona 5, but I had to put it down to do the, seasonal type games. So
Yeah, that's one that I will never ever, that series I will never ever touch, despite how much I would like to do so. It's just like every game is 90 to 100 hours. Like, can't.
Yeah, it seems like a series I'd be into, but yeah, same reason.
I've never beaten a Persona game, even though I've played 2, 3, 4, 5. But I've sunk like 120 hours into like each of them. So
yeah.
And eventually I just lose interest because the games are too fucking long. So
I can't say it about all of them, but watch the Persona 4 anime, and you're in good shape.
Okay.
The last game.
There's another recommendation for you. Watch the Persona 4 anime.
Yeah.
The last game that I did play, which took me a year, was Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and I think I clocked like 100 hours to the minute upon completion. So, yeah, I could deal with a short game.
That is a long game if you do everything.
Yeah. That's why I love this time of year, because it really makes me want to play my like short, 2 to 5 hour indie horror games, like get a couple of them knocked out, feel a little better about my backlog.
Paint water cat. Go
Yeah, that's what I am trying to work on as well. Like, not only with new games, but older games too. It's like, well, I could pick this one RPG that'll take me 40 hours, or there's these 4 to 5, 10 or less hour games that I could play.
Yes.
So, yeah, indeed.
That's how I always do it, except my short option is watching something. I'm like, I could watch this many movies or series in the time it would take to play this game. And so that's why I only play one game a year.
Fair.
You should make like a spin wheel. And then do it that way. Just have random chance decide for you.
Absolutely not.
No.
I am the person who will never flip a coin to make a decision.
Damn.
Well, as far as, like I said, I don't really have much to recommend. I did play Ball X Pit, like Kate said, and that's pretty good. I could see where the digital crack stuff comes in. I'm not a super huge fan of the then town building element that happens at the end of the digital crack game loop. But
I didn't even know it had that.
yeah, there's the ball breaker, get almost mini game of sorts, and then when you eventually die or whatever, you go back and your other task is to rebuild this town that was destroyed by a giant ball. So you plant crops and build buildings and send workers out to collect resources to then build more buildings or upgrade them, etc., etc., etc. Which I've never been a huge fan of town builders in the first place and that kind of stuff. So
I think it's ball multiplied by pit, actually.
That's what I'm gonna call it when I talk to my friends about it. Have you played ball multiplied by pit? Alrighty, so I think now I can move on to everyone sharing where their current online locations may be and where they can find more of your thoughts. So I'm gonna go to Kestrel first.
Yeah, so I'll do the podcast too. So find the podcast anywhere you find podcasts. Subscribe, rate, and review. We are on all those places: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, and you can find us on fandompost.com. Find us on social media: Twitter, Facebook, Blue Sky, at Fandom Post Radio. Email us fandompostradio@gmail.com. Follow us, share our stuff, get in contact with us. Tell us your favorite frame of One Punch Man. As for me, I'm on Twitter at FullMetalKyoma and on Blue Sky at KestrelSwift.bbisky, speaking of Hunter Hunter, .social. And this is the first season in 13 years that I'm not reviewing any simulcasts. Because it's the first season that I've ever watched no new series. They're all continuations or spin-offs. So,
wow.
Not reviewing anything weekly. However, I have published a bunch of stuff on Fandom Post. So you can finally read my last piece from Anime NYC that was finally approved, where I interviewed the writer, director, and producer of Takopi's original. You can read my, like I mentioned earlier and alluded to many, many times, you can read my 10 years later retrospective on the original One Punch Man anime and the decade of its downfall. And you can read all of my coverage from Asians Film Festival 2025, including my review of the Chainsaw Man movie, which was out before the theatrical release, but, now it's out anyway, so... but most notably, also my interview on the red carpet with Mamoru Hosoda.
Hell yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, that interview was a really cool experience, I'm sure. Especially with your legit cool microphone.
It is so not legit cool.
You just need one of those box things around it that says like Fandom Post or something like that.
Which apparently it's very easy to get branded like that, but no, it's literally just
really?
like... Yeah. It's literally just like a microscopic little mic with a big foam thing around it so that it looks like you're passing out a real microphone instead of just a little tiny, like... Yeah. No, it's absurd, but I'm glad it looked like a real mic in the pictures, because hopefully that means it does in the video.
It does the job.
You could have fooled me.
Yeah.
Excellent.
All right, Bran, how about you?
You could find me on the socials at HellShakeBrando. Not really talking about any anime on there lately, though. But I'm still right here.
Alrighty, Kate, how about yourself?
You can find me at fandompost.com writing about anime and whatever else I feel like doing, which is not much lately. And I'm on Blue Sky at SonicBug. And anywhere else on the internet, you could probably find me at SonicBug that I exist in those places. I think that's it. If you want to review anime for fandompost.com, go hit Chris Beveridge up, because I'm sure he could use a couple more reviewers doing current running anime series, especially since Kestrel's not reviewing anything.
Only if you'll review One Punch Man, though.
Oh God!
Don't be like me.
That's your hazing.
Bad anime.
We have to.
In reality, that could also be the easiest review, because all you just put is like looks bad, and the next week it's still bad.
Yep, still bad.
Yep. Still bad. And then the third review would be like, why are you still here? All right, and then Mark, how about you?
Yeah, you can find me at fandompost.com. This season I'm reviewing Mangaka's Weirdly Wonderful Workplace. Theoretically reviewing that. I'm a little behind, but a little behind on the reviews, not on the watching. But also checking in with occasional reviews of Yano-kun's Ordinary Days and My Awkward Senpai. You can find me on Blue Sky at MD Thomas, where I very rarely post, but you can find me there anyway.
Oh yeah, I forgot to
What?
plug what I'm actually reviewing this year. I'm reviewing To Your Eternity season 3 and a show called Past the Monster, Meet My Lady. So
That's a great title.
It's a great title. Yeah. Jinx.
How often do they tip their fedora? Just out of curiosity.
no fedoras to be seen in the show. It's medieval. I don't know if fedoras exist. So
Yeah.
well, not medieval. It's anime Victorian, which means it's anything that's roughly between like 1800 and like 1920. Aesthetic
Sounds
wise.
about right.
A big ol' range there.
You know what I mean. It's
Yeah, no, I get it.
historical bodice romance, essentially. But the girl likes to eat monsters.
Alrighty, and then you can find me here exclusively as always to talk about whatever I'm watching or make baseless accusations on the things that other people are watching. So a good time as always, but thanks everyone for listening. Hope you're enjoying your season of whatever it is you're watching, Spy Family, One Piece, Fragrant Flower, whatever gets your goat this time around. So until next time, enjoy the season and we'll talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
Hey.
It does look like a real mic.